Good evening, Danvers. My name is Mark Zuberek, and welcome to the Topics of the Town News. And I am today reporting on the Beverly Airport Commissioners meeting that was held on July 8th at 6 p.m. at the conference room on the east side of the Beverly Airport, which is the Beverly side. What I like to report and basically introduce the entire meeting that was conducted that evening is that to give you a snapshot of what I think happened, and then you can follow up with the meeting itself. It's over 2 hours long, just under 2 hours long. And what I want to do is express my invitation to become a member of the audience as a reporter for the town of Danvers. One of the things that I like to explain is the Beverly Airport Commissioners, similar to every other open meeting, have a public comment section, which is usually after the introduction and acceptance of the past month's meeting notes and the favor of entertaining any comments from the public. And Danvers residents are a part of the public. However, the meeting consists of all three communities that are part of the Beverly Airport grounds. That's Wenham, Danvers, and Beverly. Beverly, in their endeavor to control the building and expansion of the airport, are in charge because the commission is made up of supposed to be 9 members. Currently there are 8. 6 are from Beverly, which is supposed to be 7, and 2 from Danvers, per the negotiations that happened back in 1997. Things have changed since then, and I have endeavored, since the changes were happening back in 1997, I was on the Board of Selectmen, and now I'm a lonely reporter attending these meetings. So I just want to introduce my portion of the meeting minutes and then let you review the entire meeting, which is just under 2 hours long. The public comments that I made, and I continue to make on a regular basis, is public comments presented to the board over the last 5 years continue to be ignored and filed in the round file. Abutters to the airport deserve a response to their public comments and concerns. That has been temporarily addressed, but what the commissioners are doing with the public comments, they're picking and choosing whichever one they want to address, and they think that they're addressing the issues that have been identified, and they're not. And you'll see that in the contents of this meeting. The second public comment that I have made is that the master plan expansion, especially the current proposal for the jet hangars, should be put on hold and the lease reconsidered. The residents and abutters are weary of the constantly revised and re-proposed plans for the plant project. The plans of the Conservation Commission were rejected already once. Now they're proposing it again. The proposal is a dangerous expansion of the Beverly Airport, but more important, it is only the first step in further promoting environmental impacts to the city and town residents. This project will impact our quality of life and increase jet traffic, jet fuel contamination, visual resident impact, water contamination, and flooding. But the most significant is the noise and jet port facilities in our backyards. Beverly is not situated for a jet port. Environmental issues due to proximity to residential and municipal populations. The issue with the hangars that they're planning on building is the elephant in the room. They don't want to address the size. All they want to do is address the Conservation Commission restrictions that they may be imposed on. And this is one reason why this thing is being reconsidered or refiled by the developer, because the hangar itself, and just think of what this size means, 135 feet wide, 300 feet long, and 45 feet high. It is the size of a very comfortable football field in our neighborhood. So the thing is, we do not want the hangar to be part of the expansion that they're considering. And one of the major issues is that they don't want to talk about the master plan expansion, and this hangar is part of it. So just for your information, this hangar will be discussed at the Conservation Commission on July 11th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center, and it will be reconsidered again because they failed the first time and they figured out a way how to prevent that vote to take place. The second meeting after this is going to be site plan review by the planning board, and that is supposedly scheduled for July 16th at the town hall, I believe, at the selectmen's room, because the selectmen are not meeting anymore in the summertime. So that's where the crux of the problems are, and please listen to the details of the meeting. And I'm sorry if it's so long, but I sit through it, and I think you need to listen to how the commissioners are treating the town of Danvers, and the Danvers commissioners need to wake up and start raising the issues. And I think you'll see that it is very contentious at the end of the meeting. So enjoy the show, and I will be attending the next commissioners meeting, which is the second Monday of August, and I will bring that for your enjoyment again. Good night, thank you very much, and enjoy the show.
We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Present.
Commissioner Relay. Present. Commissioner Zuberek.
Present.
Commissioner Gillette.
Present.
And Commissioner Doxey.
Present.
And Commissioner Vitalik, I am also present. All right, so we'll move on to approval of minutes for the June meeting. Looks like we have no yellow lines or anything, everything was...
I have something for clarification.
Okay,
Thanks. Under E, the commissioner comments.
yes.
It says at the very end that Mr. Zuberek added that she would continue outreach to the schools, which is a reference to me.
Okay,
And I don't recall that happening. I know there's outreach going on to the schools for educational purposes. That wasn't exactly what I was looking for in the purview, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I mentioned it also, but in your section, I was saying that we were still pushing that for the schools.
Oh, okay, so
I didn't do it.
should it be
we can,
this or this? Should it be a different?
Yeah, commissioner or
it should be
this or whatever.
specified what commissioner is
Okay,
related
because it
to.
was right underneath my paragraph, so I thought it was referring to me because it was just Mr. and then her.
Yeah.
Little,
Right,
okay.
right.
So is that
Yeah, we
additional
can
to-
refer back to that and go over the minutes
As amended.
as amended, yeah. So we'll accept as amended, and we'll look back over those. And, so do I hear a vote to accept amended, we'll go here a second to amend
You have to do the first.
first.
The first.
So,
First.
hear a motion to accept, from Commissioner Kendrick
As amended.
as amended.
Second.
Second from, Commissioner Zubrick.
Can I get third, Jason?
Commissioner Cosson?
Yes.
Kendrick? Commissioner Kendrick, yes. Commissioner Relay?
Yes.
Commissioner Zubrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Gillette? Commissioner Doxey? And a yes for myself. Commissioner Vitalik, unanimous, will accept the amended minutes from the June meeting. And we'll look into that and find out who that was specifically. Okay, we'll move on to public comments. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? Well, you're going to be under commissioner comments.
Well, I'd like to speak as on behalf of
Senator Lovell, okay.
so.
Okay, so because you are a commissioner, we're going to keep you under commissioner comments. We'll save that. And then since we have Senator Lovely here, we will start off with you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So I appreciate being recognized. I believe on the agenda tonight may be, I couldn't really tell from reading the agenda, perhaps about the building of a hangar and the continued expansion, communications about the expansion of the runways. Just wanted to give the board an update that my office continues to receive noise complaints, and of course of the additional complaint of air quality from the avgas and the increased traffic at the airport. I just want to go on record that I'm still receiving pretty consistent complaints mostly from the Danvers community, but I do occasionally hear from the Beverly community as well, and I represent both in the Senate. And just to let you know, that we continue to receive these complaints about, especially now that the weather is good. Received a complaint just today that there was a touch and go at 6 a.m. or wee hours, early morning. I can't tell you exactly what time. That was disturbing to the neighbor that reported it. And just wanted to be on record with that. So want to continue to work with the airport on, I know you're addressing noise complaints. I see you've enhanced your website so that people can file these noise complaints, but I just don't know how we get to the point where there's a balance so that people are enjoying their homes in the nice weather with being a neighbor to the airport. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. And if there is a way to direct those people that complain to you to also make a complaint with the airport through our website, that would greatly help us in collecting our data taken care of the issues. That would be very helpful.
Thank you. We'll continue to do that. Thank you.
And then Chloe Mitchell has your hand up. Did you want to speak?
Is she on mute?
We can't hear you, Chloe, if you're trying to.
Oh, she is.
She's on mute, but. From Sally Kearns' office.
What's that?
Chloe is from Representative Sally Kearns' office. She said she was going to be monitoring the meeting.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe she accidentally pressed the hand. Sally Kearns' office.
Chloe is the legislative aide of Representative Kearns.
Well, this is where the commission sits, I'm sorry.
All right. Okay.
Anybody else from the public?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Zuberek.
I have to get an extra chair. Okay. We'll run into my time.
Thank you for respecting the time.
Oh. I have a one-page presentation that I'd like to make to the board because I think it's time to review what has happened over the last 3, 4, 5 years. Public comments presented to the board over the last 5 years continue to be ignored and filed in the round file, like I said previously. Abutters to the airport deserve a response to their public comments and concerns. So do I. Number 2, master plan expansion. A current proposal for the jet hangars should and must be put on hold and the lease reconsidered. The residents, abutters, and weary of the constant revised and reproposed plans for the plant project. The elephant in the room is the size and the purpose to expand the jet traffic at Beverly Airport. The proposal is dangerous expansion of the Beverly Airport, but more important, it is only the first step in further becoming environmental impact to the city and the town residents. This project will impact our quality of life by increasing jet traffic, jet fuel contamination, visual resident impact, water contamination, and flooding. But the most significant is the noise with jet port facilities in our backyards. Beverly is not situated for a jet port environment due to proximity to residential and municipal overflights over our population. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Zuberek.
That's your copy.
Thank you, sir. Hold on 1 second, Tony. Chloe, did you want to speak? I noticed you hopped out and hopped in.
Hi, nurse. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Sorry about that. I'm on the train home and I was going through the tunnel into the Salem station and lost connection at the perfect time. But I'm Chloe Mitchell. I'm from Rep. Sally Kearns' office, and she would like to echo the statements made by Senator Lovely. We do receive these complaints on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a day, and she remains committed to trying to find a positive solution to this issue. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And again, any complaints that you receive, if there's any way you can send them to our office or have the people re-complain to our website, just so we have that data, because we do reach out to everyone that complains, and if there is an issue with a specific plane or school that is associated with that plane, we do talk to them. So we are working diligently and doing the best that we can to address any noise issues that come to us. So again, it's difficult to make any adjustments if we don't know what's going on. So if people can send it to us, then we know what we can do. So I appreciate that. I don't know your name. What? State your name.
My name is Steve Bloomworth. I've been a resident of Danvers since 1955, moved here when I was 4, and I've had many happy visits to the airport. A friend of my dad was a World War II fighter pilot. He had a small plane here, and My dad, my brother, and myself used to go up for flights and enjoyed Beverly Airport and the things it had to offer. And I've been a butter since 1990. I have a house over on Tulane Road in Danvers. So I'm on the western side. But several years ago, I started to smell fumes, that reminded me of being, I don't know, at an airport or a bus station or someplace where there's heavy quality fumes. And it's increased since that time. And I have been learning more and more about the effects of jet airplanes. When people talk about noise, noise isn't what the butters who are on the takeoff runways experience. Because noise is what you're hearing my voice now. And that's mid to high frequencies. What these people are experiencing is called backblast, and I'll leave this with you if you'd like to learn what backblast is. This is nothing new. This was a report done by the Wiley Acoustics in 2001 and presented to the Noise Abatement Office of the San Francisco International Airport. So I can leave this with you. I've highlighted certain areas. What is backblast? It's low frequency. So when I was recently at a planning board meeting in Danvers, Representative Flight Level Aviations gave a presentation, and he said that he went around the airports with a sound pressure meter and was measuring noise. And he said, well, it came in about 87 dB, and he said, it's about the same as your blender in your kitchen, which is, unpleasant, something we wouldn't like to live with. But in talking with a friend of mine who lives at number 5, Branford Avenue, who is right on one of the takeoff runways, his whole house shakes. A blender doesn't make your whole house shake. The blender is mid to high frequency noise, but backblast, as you can learn from this, is low frequencies from 200 hertz lower. So what is 200 hertz? It's about the frequency of a bass drum. When I was young and we would have parades, Bill and I were in the band together. When the fellow hit the bass drum, you felt it. You didn't really hear it, but your chest and your diaphragm would shake. That's low frequency. Now, if there's somebody who's really strong and really hitting the heck out of the bass drum, he could probably hit it with 1/4 of a horsepower, maybe 1/2 a horsepower. The jets have, 20 to 30,000 horsepower? So you're beating a drum at low frequencies between 20 and 30,000 horsepower behind that. And the duration of backblast is between 1 and 2 minutes. If a big truck goes by your house and it shakes for an instant, how long does that last? Seconds? Imagine it from 1 to 2 minutes duration, because what most people don't know is, as the jet is going down the runway, it's propagating this noise wall behind it. It's not only directly behind it, from the exhaust of the jet airplane, it goes out 45 degrees. So people get it on either side. And it's increasing as it goes down the runway. And at takeoff, it reaches a certain peak. But then the aircraft does a slight rotation as it gains altitude, and then there's a second peak. And that second peak is at the same volume level, 10 to 15,000 feet away. So what's the take home from that? No barrier stops it unless it's at least 15 feet high. It doesn't stop it, it mitigates it. The minimum mitigation is 5 dB. It has to be 15 feet high. It has to be about 50 feet, not from the airport runway, 50 feet from the houses. It travels over trees. It goes through structures. It shakes the entire contents of the house. And this fellow who lives at number 5, Bradford, said, well, 11:30 at night, when they're taking off, I wake up and I can't go back to sleep. what does that do to your health after a while? When I hear jets take off, I'm not in that shadow, I'm not in that penumbra. I hear what most of us hear, which is, if you take the time to read this, it's called overflight noise. So we hear the plane. That's what you hear. Overflight noise and jet backblast, two totally different animals. Overflight noise is mid to high frequency noise. Backblast is 200 frequency and below. And jet backblast lasts 1 to 2 minutes. Overflight doesn't, you don't hear it for that long, because one thing is hearing, the other thing is low frequency, any vibration that can shake your entire house and everything in it. That's not something you really hear. It's just seismic. It's like an earthquake. So these people are exposed every time a jet takes off. The people who live along the takeoff runways experience the effect of an earthquake going through their house.
So just let you, we do have a 3-minute limit
Okay.
on everything. Thank you so much, and please, yeah, slide that to me, I would greatly, and if there is a digital copy of this,
I can send you a link to that.
That would
It's
be-
not new.
that'd
It
be
came out
fantastic.
2001.
Anything you can send to us digitally so that the entire commission can.
Okay, through
have it.
Bill, I'll get your link and I'll send it out to you.
And it is all on the website as well, all our emails, everything is there, so you can get in touch with all of us.
I'd just like you to know that this is what jets are doing to people right now.
I appreciate
And
it.
if they build a 40,000 square foot hangar, which can hold 8 more jets, you'll have 8 more jets doing this to people. They're suffering now. You're gonna unleash 8 times more.
Commissioner Zuberek.
So question about the data that you're using. You said it was on San Francisco airport?
It's done for San Francisco Airport.
So are those numbers based on the large commercial jets that are coming in and out of that airport, or not the smaller ones that are coming here, or is this like the same data for both? Do you know?
I don't know, but you're welcome to read the report. The report will detail it. I'm no expert, but I read this, and I know what attenuation means. And attenuation means decrease, barriers don't decrease it. Distance does not decrease it. Trees don't decrease it.
Well, I appreciate the information, we'll definitely look into it, and again, if you could get us a digital copy, I would greatly appreciate that as well. As well, Tony.
Hey, what's up? Tony Bencourt, 15 Brock Circle, Georgetown, New England, recent file. I guess I put a couple things in this. One, I got a copy of the police report. I guess we had a bag of white powder turned in here. This is supposed to be a safe facility, I'm not sure you have to get in here. The bag of white powder was turned into the Danvers Police Department, okay? And they logged it in, and I guess they're still doing an investigation on it, okay? Without a 191 Old Beverly Street, it was turned in from there, okay? That's number one. I'm very concerned about that. This is a facility that's supposed to be, you can't get in here without a badge. How that powder get in here? So I don't know. I don't know if it's cocaine, heroin, I have no clue, okay? I didn't get the rest of the information, but
So do you know the specific, it says this is a specific address, 191 Old Burley.
yes, flight aware turned it in.
What's last?
What's it?
Beverly Flight Center.
Beverly Flight Center, who took?
Flight aware is what they said on the radio.
It's flight level, flight aware. We have both, we have manager and owner here, so do you guys have
It
any?
was a small bag, about this big, that Tina found by one of her flight school planes.
Oh,
So
okay,
they don't know who it's from. It was off camera. We tried figuring it out. So
Okay.
they turned it into the police just because they didn't know what it was.
okay.
Like a Ziploc?
It was like in a little saran wrap. It just looked wrong. So they called the police, turned it in.
Okay.
It hasn't been tested.
Yeah, they sent it around.
What's that?
I believe
Well,
it's around.
If that is the case, I trust that you were a part of that. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
sound like trafficking of narcotics. It
Well,
sounds
I
like
don't know.
personal.
That's what I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's a safe.
Well, no, I think
Yeah, it
we'll
was
definitely
handled
look into
with,
it further. But
Tina and the chief pilot of the flight school.
yeah,
They just asked me to look at the cameras and see if they could see.
I heard it over the radio, it's not mine though. okay?
Okay.
That's how I know. I heard
Well,
over the
thank you for
radio.
bringing it to our
Then
attention.
when
I
they
had
leave,
no idea.
I know they won't even
Yeah,
check the
yeah.
camera to see who left it behind, okay? I know that for a fact, okay? Because they couldn't find it, okay? That's what I'm trying to do, okay? So, that's one of my concerns, okay? Another concern is definitely that hangar. You can't put that in, okay? I want to run a car to 85 people. No one wants it, okay? Not my little people, okay? Another thing, I also went to, New Bedford. I went to Bedford because my daughter was playing, my granddaughter was playing hockey, okay? I couldn't believe all the signs. They don't want the hangars up there either. Every one up there has a sign. They do not want expanded jet hangars up there. That's what we spot containers, okay, from every one all the way down here, okay? I'll tell you right now, okay? I couldn't believe how many signs there were, okay? That's she played a rig up there, right? So, I couldn't believe how many signs were on that property, that they do not want any expansion, no expansion of hangars at Bedford, okay? We don't want to be either, okay? That's for sure, okay? Maybe they should think Norwood, okay? Is better with the baseline, that's what they probably should go, okay? I'll be honest with you. I can go on with other stuff, but I don't want to, that's enough for tonight.
All right, I appreciate it, Tony, thank you. Are there any more public comments? I think we're covered that already. Tenant comments. Nobody here for tenant comments, all right. We'll move on to Airport Solutions Group. Mr. Schuster.
Thank you, Kyle. Yes, the first project, the environmental assessment and the expanded environmental notification form. That is for the reconstruction of 1634 and the new parallel taxiway Echo. So we did a drone flight on the 18th. We just droning the grass area where future Echoes would go to gather information, because we need to start doing some conceptual design on that to figure out obviously how it's going to look and impacts to any wetlands or anything like that. It's got a long process. It's the first step of the permitting process. Folks are coordinating with our sub-consultant GZA to come out to do some wetland flagging. So that's going to come out towards the end of the month. And now that we're in July, and another week will be mid-July, so hopefully we'll find out soon if grants will be issued, because I think I've been telling you every month that late July, maybe August, so we'll be on the lookout for that. Once that kicks in, once we get that, then we can really start getting going on the project. So remind you, that's just the environmental assessments, it's not construction. Just want to be clear for the record. We still have a long way to go through this, so but this is the first step. Any questions on that project?
Just, we don't have a budget, we might not for a while. To the state, so we're looking for
Well, I'll just work with NASA Aeronautics, and whatever it is, it is.
Okay.
Well, thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate that. We'll put the grant in anyway, and they'll issue it when they're ready, as we would usually happen. So, the aeronautical study for 1634-927. So that project, obviously, it's a long ongoing project. But recently, our sub-consultant who helps us with the airspace, they have to submit all kinds of data to the FAA, get approved before it's the next step. Well, they submitted the data, and it got rejected only because they changed a lot of people over there. So the way they used to do things and submit things, people changed. So they said, well, you got to resubmit it differently. So that's what we're doing. And unfortunately, it takes time to get through that process. But they have resubmitted the data and pending approval very shortly. So that means once we get that, we can use that data, to help finish this airspace study. So that's for that. So the airspace study we have to do anyway before we do any reconstruction of 1634. You got to make sure your approaches are clear.
So we still have nothing, like no red flags that we're looking at?
Not yet, only because, like you said, the data that they submitted to FAA, Blue Sky, our environmental, we're using that data. Nothing really wrong with it, it's just the way it was reported. So we're waiting for some updated numbers so we can look at it again.
So this is from your drone?
No, this is from their, well, they don't drone it, they actually fly it over with an expensive camera. There's a certain way to do everything for FAA guidelines.
Okay.
So this is data from them.
That's from last year's flights?
Yeah, right. And it's a very long process just getting through the FAA. It's not like FAA region, there's a certain department that looks at all this, and it's you got to submit one thing, you got to get it approved for the next step, and they don't approve very quickly. Sometimes it can take a month or a week, so you say, hey, reach out to this one. So that's the process. Okay. The fence project. So that project is still ongoing. Looking like we should probably finish the end of this week, maybe early next week. We'll see how that goes. The contractor was supposed to be done on the 29th of June, but they did not make the schedule. So right now, they're still working, because they have to, and they're going to be charged liquidated damages, which is allowed per the contract. Just basically any economic impact that the airport had for non-use of the airport, which is probably nothing for the fence projects, we didn't really, except for Delta, right? Or and the other one would be for our time, because Mascot won't pay for our time, neither should the airport, to be out here watching the contractor, making sure they finish up the work. So.
Will the grant cover the fence in its entirety still?
Yeah, so I had a meeting with Massa Aeronautics today at 3 o'clock to talk about the project. And yes, he's going to, their Mascot contract is good only to the 30th. So we do have quantity that we can bill against that. It's not going to be, it's not going to be the full amount only because they didn't finish. So there's going to be another Mascot contract coming next year, this year, to cover the remaining portion that they haven't finished. So it will get covered, yes.
Will that clause in their contract also cover the cost of the fence if it doesn't get covered by Mass Aeronautics?
They're going to cover it. There's nothing that they're not covering. Okay. The only thing they're not covering is our time right now from June 30th, right now to July, let's say 8th. Right now, probably this week for our time, our resident engineer to be out there to make sure they finish the project. So that's the only thing Mascot will cover. Okay. So right now we got to figure out how much the contractor finished at June 30th and how much they're going to finish this year for Mascot to figure out their funding. So other than that, I mean, it's going pretty good. I just wish they had finished over there. I don't know. I don't have good answers why they didn't finish. They didn't have enough forces or wasn't enough time. But the problem is they signed the contract at 30 calendar days. They asked for 3 more calendar days. We were getting close to the end. So they were granted 3 more calendar days because that's what they felt they needed. And that went from June 26th was the initial completion date, and then went to the 29th. And they still didn't finish even the following week. So when we came out for a site walk.
I did a site walk today. It does not look like it's going to be buttoned up.
It might be close. We'll see by the end of the week. I've been talking to a contractor, talking to my guy in the field. And so we'll see. We'll see come Wednesday, Thursday too, see how they're doing. So yeah, they got some more to do. Anyway.
As long as we get it done.
Yes, yeah, so it's going to get done. That'll get paid. It's like there's nothing coming out of your pocket, so it should be good. Any questions on that?
Well, thank you for making the changes to their report.
I know. It's funny you should say. I was doing it this morning. I'm like, oh yeah, they want me to spell that out, so I did that. If there's anything else I'm missing, I can put that in too. And the only other thing, we are going to be having pre-CIP meetings soon. Now, one of the days if I reach out to you, Gabe, and you, Kyle, probably. Sometime soon. And I know we're going to. We're expecting Mascot to issue every year Mascot will issue a letter to the airport saying, here, this is your next project for this year. And to schedule CIP meetings. So, and that's when you pick times and dates of this thing to meet. And we're doing them early this year, which is great, because we need to get on these projects earlier because FAA has changed their grant deadlines. It used to be May 1. Now they went up in March, which I still think is ridiculous for us, especially if you have a deep, especially if you do a design project. It's very difficult to do that. But
you think we'd be doing like August for meetings, or?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I know we're not.
I don't have totally inside information, but I'm hearing little things that I figure the letters are going to come up soon because it's after July 1, it's a new year.
Yeah.
So hopefully, in the next couple of weeks,
last year was
way late.
Way late.
So they're trying them way early, and that's what they should be doing. So it helps us too. It helps you. It helps us for planning. So.
Unless it's budget dependent.
What's that?
Unless it's budget dependent.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So. Anyway, that's all I have. Unless you have any further questions.
Thank you, Greg. All right, we'll move on to the airport manager's report. Mr. Hampton.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We'll start off as we normally do with our operations and fee report. So the month of June was a remarkably busy month. as far as operations are concerned, we had 8,862 operations. That's an increase of almost 1,500 compared to last June. This June has also been the busiest month. You'll notice on the chart that we've seen, busier than any month in 2023 and the busiest month so far of 2024. Despite that increase, both fuel flowage fees and landing fees were down by quite a bit. We had a decrease of about $1,800 in fuel flowage fees. It's about a 20% decrease from last June. And landing fees, it was a 15% decrease. That's equal to about $2,700 decrease compared to last June. As far as the year goes, we're still tracking ahead on both of those collections for the calendar year. We also got our second quarter of the jet fuel tax revenue, which was $20,373, which, I think that will definitely be a really good revenue source for us. Again, just to recap on that, we get that paid monthly. That is a local option state excise tax. So the state every quarter determines the rate of the tax. I think right now it's at 14 cents per gallon of jet fuel that's pumped. And then all of that revenue comes back to the airport. Quarter one was kind of low for us, but this quarter two was really nice. Any questions on any of those figures? All right. Moving on to our budget. So this budget summary you have in front of you is the entirety of FY 2024 that ended June 30th. We ended in a really strong budgetary position. We took in nearly $80,000 more of revenue than what we had budgeted. And we had close to $56,000 of expenses that we had budgeted and didn't use. So at the end of the year, we are putting away $75,000 back into the enterprise fund. That's really helpful in getting us to be able to fund foot the local shares that are needed for grants and to make those important investments in the infrastructure and projects out here at the airport. So overall, I think FY 2024 was a really strong year for the airport. Yeah.
Is the city considering increasing the share that they take from us each
FY 25 budget, it's the same that they took this year. So $100,000 will be transferred from our enterprise fund to the general fund of the city.
How does that number compare to the past 5 years, 10 years historically? Is it usually this generous?
It's kind of gone up. So 2024, FY 2024 was the first year that it was at 100,000. I believe the preceding 2 or 3 years before that, it was at like 62,000 or 60-ish thousand. And before that, it was at 50,000. So I think every few years they kind of raise it. Any questions? All right. Move on to the noise complaints that I've received. This is for the period starting at our last commission meeting on the 10th of June to today, 8th of July. I sent this guys to you via email. Since that email, I received a couple more complaints. So this is what you have in front of you is the most up-to-date summary of the last period. Still, it was a really pretty low number as far as noise complaints are concerned. I only received 6 complaints from 6 unique addresses. Of those 6 addresses, only 2 of them were from individuals, residents that we had not heard from before. So that brings our total number of unique addresses that we've heard from is up to 23. And our total number of complaints since January 1 is 141 complaints. The location of these complaints that these residents were in, 4 from Danvers, 1 from Wynnum, 1 from Beverly. As per usual, most of them were complaining about traffic off of runway 27. There was 1 curfew violation. There was an aircraft that took off at 6:40 a.m., which is before that's still within our quiet hours. As I understand it, they were planning to go on a flight to Syracuse, New York. They took off, they had a funky reading in the cockpit, and so they did a lap in the pattern to check it out. When things got sorted out, they did a touch and go and went on their way to Syracuse. And so that's what that curfew violation was the plane just doing that simple lap in the pattern. Most of the complaints were about touch and goes, 2 about departures, and we did have 1 concerning a helicopter that had come up from Norwood, it looked like, and did some circling and hovering over the airport. Type of aircraft had a wide variety. Piper Warrior, 2 of them, and then 1 each for a Piper Cub, Bombardier Challenger, which is a jet, and then the helicopter one. That not applicable that you see showing up, that was just a general complaint I received that was a Beverly resident saying that as of late, they've been noticing aircraft circling overhead over their house, starting very early in the morning, going late into the evening. So there wasn't a specific aircraft that I could attribute that complaint to. So that's that not applicable that you see. And then the based airport of aircraft, 2 from Beverly, 1 from Portsmouth, 1 from Norwood, and then an unknown, I think that was the jet. I couldn't figure out where they show them as being based, but it wasn't Beverly. I also want to note, and just to commend our flight schools, because you all have access to a spreadsheet where I'm kind of keeping track of the complaints we're receiving. You'll notice that within the last month, I even venture to say last 2 months, there's been a very noticeable drop in the number of complaints that we're receiving about our flight schools and flights being operated by our flight schools. I'm trying to see the share of complaints about, just a singular departure, landing, or someone not based at Beverly coming in. They're kind of increasing, and I'm not getting as many complaints about flight school aircraft. So that tells me that, the work of the noise abatement subcommittee, the various meetings and interfacing that we've had with both of the flight schools, I am noticing a difference in the complaints I'm hearing on that front, which I think is really promising. So I just want to put that out there for the commission's knowledge, and also just to commend the work that the flight schools are doing to really hear and address the concerns of our neighbors.
Sorry. For the both flight schools, I just want to say too, I've brought separate concerns to both of them, specific flights that they were doing, and they both responded really well. Aviator and Beverly flights both did.
Yeah, I had a complaint come in, and I think it was a matter of this past holiday weekend. It was people outside grilling, enjoying the nice weather. So I received a couple complaints kind of around that. And one of them was a flight school aircraft. They did, I think, 3 laps in the pattern. They did everything by the book, very standard, very safe. And I still let the flight school know, said just wanted to give you a heads up. And even with that, the flight school responded that a memo was going out to all their pilots to just remind them again about, as the weather's getting nicer, more people are going to be outside, and be extra cognizant of that. So they've been very responsive of every facet and with every grade of complaint that I've sent their way.
See, that's hard though, like on a holiday weekend when people can't normally fly, they're trying to get their currency up so they can take a passenger, they have to do the 3.
Right, yeah.
So I'm gonna throw a wrench in. I'm really glad to hear about the flight school stuff, because it seemed like there were several complaints specific to that. But I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the people who are talking and our representatives on Zoom. And it makes me wonder how these numbers underrepresent people. I have not lodged a complaint, but this morning I was woken up at like 7 o'clock by a jet going over my house, shaking like you guys described. And there's been other days when the jets take this turn right over my house, and it's like you said, you can't talk for a minute. The noise is so bad, and I'm here, but I don't complain. When I talk to people, they're like, oh, I don't want to complain. I think it's underrepresented and representative. And I don't mean to throw a wrench in it, and I don't want to attract things that maybe everyone's working so hard on correcting and making a better communication vehicle for people. But I guess I would throw out there something for us to think about is how can we encourage, maybe that's not the right word, but how can we get a better representation of what's actually, what the annoyance level is, what the discomfort level is, because there's going to be levels. Being annoyed is one thing, but being in discomfort is another. And I'm guilty of that. I had the 2 helicopters this weekend. I mean, I jumped out of my skin in my backyard when they pivoted over my yard. It's pretty startling. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm listening to a really positive report, but you hear other things and you're like, how do you balance it?
Right.
And I don't have the answer, but I think it's something we might want to look at and talk about at some point of how we can do that. Because you've got the instrument, you've got the way to communicate, but how are we going to get people to communicate so that we have more accurate information? So.
Right.
And that's what we're putting out there too, is we're asking everyone that talks to Mr. Zuberek and Tony and Bill and Senator Lovely and all these offices, we're begging them regularly to please send it our way so we know what's going on. Because we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. So if we're told, that there's 200 or 300 or 500 complaints, then we'll be able to better address that problem. So again, it's like Gabe and I are going to get back into canvassing neighborhoods and talk to people one-on-one, and it's really having Senator Lovely and the other office from Chloe there and everyone else just really funneling everything into our office so that we have one database that we can work off of and we have a better idea of what's going on. So, and it's like the complaints about the hangar. And, there's people that don't want the hangar, but not one person that we found on Old Beverly was against the hangar. There was a lot of misinformation, but everyone we talked to on Old Beverly was not against the hangar. So, we need everybody to, which another Gabe's next section will talk more on what we've been working on lately. So.
Yeah, and I don't have too much out. I want to echo that what Chairman Retallick said, and as has been my policy from the beginning. It's not no one is bothering me by sending complaints in. So don't feel like it's a bother. Pass that along to your neighbors and residents. It's not a bother at all for me to get complaints. I will go. Thanks for the question, Senator Lovely. I think that that's not too much ask of you and your office.
What was the question? Just so we can have a record.
When her office gets a complaint, if she has her staff file noise complaints, fill out the noise complaint
right,
form.
instead of asking that resident to.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think that would be. any way we can get it, we will take it. That's what we want.
Can we make sure that we get all the appropriate information though for it, like the address,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, because that's gonna matter.
That helps.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what they get, yeah, I mean, if it comes into Senator Lovely's office with that information, but even if it doesn't have all that information, at least give us what you have.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's all I have for noise, unless anyone has any questions. Thank you again, Senator Lovely. All right, so kind of segue now into an update on the complaints, concerns, and suggestions. So last meeting, I think there was really good discussion started by Commissioner Gillette on how we're addressing all other concerns that we're receiving from the community. So I think we've got a good system going and working with noise, but now there's also all sorts of other concerns, complaints, everything from fuels and fuel types being used at the airport to expansion and future development and the master plan. So Chairman Rotalick and I have sat down. We've compiled a list of kind of the big concerns that we're hearing about, and then putting together some answers for those as well, and finding a way to be able to address those, take those in, log them, much like we're doing currently with the noise. We are still hard at work on the frequently asked questions page on the website. So that's one way that we're getting addressing that stuff out there. I don't know if you have any more to add.
No, I mean, yeah, we're just trying to get an FAQ page, so if there are general questions or repetitive questions that multiple people have, that we can answer them on that page, and also have a portal for you to go and lodge those complaints, concerns, and suggestions that are not noise related. And then we're going to spreadsheet them again like we did the noise complaints, and then be able to address all complaints to the best of our ability on our monthly meetings. And then we'll have a separate section of the agenda again for complaints, concerns, and suggestions. And we'll move forward with that. And again, to Senator Lovely and Chloe's office, you know, if whatever on top of noise that you get, complaints, concerns, suggestions for the airport, if that could get funneled to us as well, so we can address everything, would be much appreciated. Same with you, Mr. Zuberek, and Bill, whoever you guys come across, and Tony, that, you know, so we can try to move forward amicably. So, yeah.
All right. And then just a quick update on Building 45. Things are still moving forward really well with Building 45. We were over there today taking measurements and daydreaming about everything that could go in there and what could be done. But there's definitely a lot of interest from people on the field in utilizing this space over at Building 45. So we've had several conversations about best way for the airport to assist in that, move forward, and we'll have that RFI going out. So
Yeah, when will that be?
I will put out this week.
Super.
Yeah.
Send the link out to everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Share it.
Yep.
Super.
So yeah, I just want to report on that, still moving forward. And then one final thing I did not put on the agenda is this Thursday, the Massachusetts Secretary of Transportation, Monica Tibbetts-Nutt, is going to be visiting the airport. She'll be here Thursday afternoon. I'm going to take her on a quick tour and show her what is out here. And then she's hosting a meeting here in the conference room as well. But just want to give you all the heads up that you're going to be getting a visit from the Secretary of Transportation, which I think is really good for the airport.
Is that an open meeting?
No, private. Yeah, she's got a handful of stakeholders that she's inviting here to have a meeting, but it'll be a great opportunity to get her well acquainted with the airport. I hope that fence is done so I can show off the great investments that the state is making at Beverly Regional Airport. But no, so I'm really excited that we're going to be able to host her and host that event. That's all I have.
Is she bringing grant money?
Yeah,
Do what?
Is she bringing grant money?
Not that I know of.
Oh, that's too bad.
just bring it up.
Yeah, I'll casually bring it up.
All right, any updates from our subcommittees?
We met with Flight Level about 3 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah, they sent some information over. Tell you the truth, I think we're still waiting for some merge data. But that said, I haven't been able to go through it because I'm trying to get these proposals together, so I'm a little taxed for time. But the Innovation Committee, we're looking at the automated flight billing systems. We've talked to 3 of them so far. I have not talked to, I think it's 1,200 myself. I think that Bill, you have. So we need to wrap that up. So by next meeting, we'll have something to share. Right now, it's proposal season. So, yeah.
Bill?
Yeah, I got a couple questions
For me?
The 2 things that interest me most in the Innovation Committee is the air traffic tracking and the EVs. I'll get to you in a minute.
Billing, you say it's billing because tracking is something else.
Yeah. I really think that's an absolute necessity for us here.
Oh, absolutely.
I was really hoping that you would come tonight, and the big positive for me was we would vote on this. I know it was my favorite, who I favor what they put forth to this, but I'll keep that to myself. I just hope that we really can come to a conclusion and make a vote next month. Please bear in mind that we're going into August. And that months ago when we started this conversation, I said, I really thought the best thing to do is to try to have a picture of how things across the summer, from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend, because that's really peak operations, and you get a better picture of what's going on. We don't know what's going on in our airspace, despite what anybody says. We don't know what's going on in our airspace. We won't know it until we have it in our hand. Okay, I consider it very important. We're going into August. It gives us 1 month of data, as far as I'm concerned. It's better than nothing, but it's only 1 month of data as compared to 3 months plus of data. Please keep that in mind. I'd like to see closure on this.
Are you aware of what work they're doing, what it takes to get there, or do you just want it to happen?
I'm well aware of what they're doing. I've been in conversation with all these companies. Okay, I am very well aware. There's probably more than everybody sitting at this table.
So you're pushing for it, but what are they not doing that you think they should be doing, and why?
We should make a decision in terms of what's laying in front of us. It's a pretty simple presentation, okay? In terms of,
do you know what the facts are behind your saying that? We haven't heard.
Yes, I do. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, I do.
Nobody's explained.
For some particular reason, people focused on.
Okay,
So as the chair of the subcommittee, let me speak. So Bill has some knowledge of the systems. What we don't have is a uniform way of looking at operate so that the committee can understand it. Right, so we have to compile that. I need to see it myself. I'm not ready to vote on that because I have to see, how long have they been in business? Where do they have systems? All of those things have to be kind of laid out in a uniform way. So
And
Folks who
also,
aren't on the committee can digest it.
the percentages have been changing also. So it cost, what we would make has also been fluctuating significantly. So when,
That's helpful information, I'm just curious, like, I understand Bill's concerns. What, I don't have the information, but what does it take to get from what Bill wants? Like, it sounds like it's a little more complicated, it'll take some time. So is it realistic to say in a month, or are we looking at?
Oh, yeah, no, in a month, I think we can have it. Yeah. I mean, basically, we have the data. We just need to ask some really good questions and lay it out.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Just allow me, just got a little dust up here going on, I apologize for that. He's done a great job of whetting my appetite for what's ahead of us here. He's got me actually excited, okay? So my excitement sometimes gets to be a little pushy, as I've been known to slap the table here and challenge dates and that sort of thing. I mean it all in good nature. So I really would like to see we can just get this closed. If nothing more, to see we come up with an
We need to make the right decision, yeah. We'll get it, we'll get there.
Commissioner Zuberek has a question.
Are any of those vendors approved on combis? Does that matter? Do you have to do an RFP? Did you already do an RFP?
So that was one thing, actually. I think Gabe was gonna look into that.
Yeah, it's not super clear. Everything I see looks like it would be in our best interest to do an RFP. State law says for something like service, if there is a contract that's going to be signed that has value of over $10,000, that it goes to RFP. With the percentages that these companies are proposing to us, and what is the most, I think most of them are like a 3-year contract. With the landing fees we are projected to bring in, how much those percentages equal, I think we would be over that $10,000 mark of that contract. So I believe, it's my understanding that it would be within our best interest to do a formalized RFP for a final decision with this.
Do you want me to ask, or do you want me to give the name of the person we should ask? I should say that.
No, I think,
can give you the name of the
I
person
think
to ask.
it's warranted to have the names. And also, Jesse, the services, the way they bill is they give us money. We don't give them anything. So
But they
that's what we don't know. At least I don't understand.
They still get paid. They get paid one way or the other, and because it's public monies,
Right.
there's going to be another vendor who's gonna be all angry about it, and they're gonna have a public records request happens all the
That
time.
makes sense, yeah.
So just as a warning, I got one 3 weeks ago, so.
So does that mean the process will be lengthened because of the?
Not necessarily.
No,
If you do it
it's
right,
not.
and you can do it quickly, but you just gotta do it right.
So in 4 weeks, it can be put out, people can respond to it, you can have the numbers we need.
I'm not in contracts, I don't
But
know.
like if ballpark-ish is possible, or?
I think it'd be
Yeah,
possible.
okay, great.
There's not that many of these companies out there,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we could get through them pretty quickly with the questionnaire. At least the information that we're going to present, we can use that for the RFP. And at that point in time, we'll have an idea of how to evaluate them.
Bill, part
Thank you.
2 of,
Thank you. Let's bring to the second subject, electric aircraft. You really intrigued me with this subject. Okay, I am very enthusiastic about it. Granted, it's a teeny weeny little niche market at this point in time, but so wasn't everything at some point. Okay. I believe you said when we left off, we're targeting to have representatives from an EV company, which I forget the name of, who are up in Burlington, Vermont.
Data.
Yeah. And then they were gonna come here for our gala weekend or whatever we're gonna do in September time, which is great. If it was within my realm, I'd like them here now. I'd like to see something here now. I don't care how small it is, a representation. To have an EV FBO in the Boston area, I think would be a jewel in our crown.
I think
really
you're right.
do.
I agree.
So when the RFI comes out for Building 45, they'll be on the list to receive that. Maybe they'll see the opportunity.
All right, so anyway, I've expressed my enthusiasm for both of these.
I
So
join you in
just-
that enthusiasm.
there's anything I can do to support that or expedite that, do not hesitate to call me, you know that.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see that
Me too.
full bore ahead.
Yeah, and we'll be working, and I have to reconnect with, National Grid and also Danvers Electric to get that ball moving forward as well. So.
And just to jump in here, Jason and I have spoken quite a bit over the past month. And Gabe and I actually met a contractor today for EV charging stations for east and west side, and also for airplane charging. So it turns out, it's great news that it's the same charging station to charge your airplane as it is your car. So it would be more of a logistical thing to find out where we could park 2 planes side by side on either side of the charging station and have a long enough cable to get to the plane and not interfere with current operations on the field. So we're in process right now of getting a quote for charging stations for cars on the field here in the parking lot. Yeah, and then I guess it's really just finding out where a good spot is to put one.
What I'm told is between the charging station head, it's about 50 feet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of gesture constraint.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's
That's
going to be
pretty
graduating, right? We want to have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3,
Right.
and then just getting started would be important. So.
Yeah, and I talked to National Grid too, and they said we just need to, now that we've had the contractor out, we get an application going through National Grid, they'll come out. So the ball will start rolling soon.
So Jason, I thought the next step was the city engineer needed to talk to National Grid.
So,
The
yeah,
electrician.
the official process takes, I think it's in the neighborhood of 14.
14 weeks?
Yeah, I think so. And that's the design process. So
Right.
they need to liaise with our engineers and to assemble that. I can't remember what the cost is. And we've talked about it in conjunction with the grant.
Yeah, right.
And
Well, the grant will be something separate,
Yeah.
but if you want things to move, you have to have the city electrician involved.
Oh, well, yeah, and that's
that's
what
the
this
step,
company
that's-
also works with, and they said, and this is a zero cost to us. To
Right.
set up, I think it was like, I don't know how many chargers it was.
Yeah.
2 fast, 4 or 6, phase
But
2.
Make sure Bill's and Jason's involved.
Oh, no, yeah, I've been talking to
Because
Jason.
the way we want to present it is, just like the fuel flowage, we want to make sure that they understand if it is for free, they're still going to be occupying the property and we get a percentage of that.
Right, yeah, and this, yes, of
Okay.
course. And Jason and I have been speaking.
And we'll loop around this week.
Yeah.
And catch up on what you've done. I was gone for kind of out of the loop for a week and a half or 2 weeks. So.
And I know Danvers Electric, everyone had COVID.
Oh, really?
So everyone's been like
That's why I
sick
haven't
for like the whole 4th of July week and everything. Everyone's been sick, so.
Just to give an update on the grant proposal,
Mm.
I received a submission from Beta for a similar, for their system. So we can put that in as a request for aircraft and car charging, and we'll see if we can get it over the hump.
And the company said that Beverly is, we could get no cost to us, 100% revenue on Beverly side, but Danvers, because it's municipal electric, is out of our pocket. So that proposal would probably work best on the west side if we want to get charging stations put in there.
I
And
see
that
what
would
you're
be
saying,
out of
yeah,
pocket
right.
because it's municipal, but because it's National Grid for Beverly, we could get it at zero cost to us. And right now, it's 100% revenue as well.
Nothing is for free.
Yeah,
Something's.
it's the promotion they're running in July.
Yeah.
Can I get them to come to my house?
Yeah.
Is there a number of years you have to have them here if they're free?
It's I think it's a five-year contract. 5 years, and then after that, they're ours
Right.
from the beginning, but after 5 years is then we're free and clear.
Build it, they will come.
Yep. So.
They will
I'm trying to, work with you guys and get some people out here and at least get some quotes, I'm kind of feeling like Bill with the tracking or the billing system, just trying to work towards making things happen, right?
Yes,
So.
I'm very pro Beverly Airport, very pro. Sometimes.
Kyle, just don't get greedy and fund a Mustang that was EV Mustang for the DPW director that's no longer there.
Right.
That EV vehicle is still there, it's a Mustang.
Right.
They bought on the grant.
I saw that one the other day.
Say what?
I saw it the other day in the neighborhood.
Well, did you?
Yeah, the EMOC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else from the subcommittees?
No, that's good.
Okay, all right, we'll move on to Commissioner, I'm sorry, Robin, yeah.
Okay, so I've
So
got a
sorry.
list of people going, and I'm gonna start scheduling some meetings in July and August, and then to finish some commitments in June. So that's what I'm doing, I'm also looking into protocols.
This is in regards
It's a
to,
meeting with stakeholders.
what's that?
Per subcommittee,
It's my subcommittee, that you, remember last meeting?
we voted one.
Okay, oh, yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I just had one question, too, because I had forwarded, we had gotten, lilies from you guys, and then, we were asked to send things back. Are we going to have an opportunity to discuss that? I just want to make sure. I
Yes,
follow
that'll
the
be on
steps.
the August agenda.
It'll be on the August. And when is it due to be signed?
Just whenever we.
Okay, so in
Yeah,
August, all right. I just want to make sure.
I got your
Gotcha.
email back on that, so,
Okay.
yeah, thank you for sending all that. in.
Absolutely.
But,
Okay.
yeah, that'll be the August
Thank you.
agenda.
And I'll have more information on who I've met with and just setting up some subs. Thank you. I'll let you know.
Anything else?
I'm done.
All right, we'll move on to Commissioner comments. I'll start with myself. I'm going to just do a quick address to some concerns that have been brought to us from Mr. Zuberek and some others in emails. That's not the full list, but I just wanted to at least address some of the concerns that you guys have, and hopefully this will clear up some questions that you guys have had. One of them was the fees. You are always saying about current fees and all that. So all the fees have been updated. We are current with all of our fees across the board: tenants, planes, taxes, landing costs. Everything has been brought up to date since Gabe has come on. So that is all of our fees are up to date. And you want to speak on your fees and how they, over a certain amount of time, they increase, or how does that work? Is there like every so many years we reassess?
We can reassess and revisit them at any time. I don't know if we ever set up a set schedule on when to reassess it, but I would think maybe every 2 years, and look at what the landscape is as far as landing and fuel flowage fees are, and then reassess at that time. But I don't believe we ever made a concrete, decision on how often we do that. But I think,
Might I suggest like 3 months before the budget's set?
oh, that's
next
it.
year?
Yeah,
So that way it can be clean prior to the budget.
right. Yeah, that's fine.
And we also include, you asked about the tax for the fuel tax revenue, and that is included in every month with the manager's report. So that is covered every month for you, for the public to hear. And I guess I'm wondering what the real estate tax you were talking about. You're always talking about real estate tax. The assessment is done years ago at the time the airport was created. And this is a state regulated tax. Has nothing to do with us. So that's more something brought up for the state to talk with.
It has been, yes.
Okay. But just so you know, it's not on our plate. It's just something that's set up that we have no control over, and Gabe has no control over. It is a state-regulated tax. So just to clarify, because I know it has been an ongoing question for you guys.
It has been an issue because 170 acres of your property of the airport is in the town of Danvers.
Right, I understand. And like I said, the tax was created at the time of conception, and that's just how it works and how it's always been. So there's nothing, and you can keep telling me till you're blue in the face that it's however many acres, but there's nothing we can do.
It's got to be
about it.
legislative action, that's what it has to be.
Yeah, you have to talk to your representatives, state representatives, Senator Lovely, people like that will have to change that. So
Bill has been filed.
Fantastic. So I just wanted to cover.
But it's also in the round file.
But it's not in the round file anymore. Now it's in a digital file in front of us every day. So we are addressing all of the issues that you guys have brought to us, and we are going to continue.
It could be done.
Right, and you just have to go to the right channels, and it's not us. So.
Oh, I know that.
The runway expansion. To clarify, this does not bring in any larger jets. This does not create, like Portland calls themselves a jet port. We will never become a jet port. We will never be able to house FedEx, JetBlue, Delta. That is not in the realm of Beverly Airport. But you keep referring to it as a jet port, which is an airport in Maine called the Portland Jet Port. And so when people hear that word, they assume, I assume that you're talking about bringing FedEx in or Delta or anything like that. So,
but the issue as a result of the master plan has been considered in 3 different levels. Leave it alone, go to a middle level, go to a expansion of the runway. The middle level was appropriate for all of the planes that were being handled at this airport, and it was developed with that in mind. Now, what has happened, the master plan has included the big expansion of 600 feet, 300 feet in each direction, and that seems to be continuing and has not been reconsidered by the Airport Commission. So what the public is afraid of is that there is expansion that's going to happen, whether it's the runways or the facilities that are being planned to be built.
Right.
One of the facilities is the 300-foot long hangar. And that's what the people are afraid of, especially the abutters that are on the west side of the airport.
I understand.
So
but like
that was the reason that was included.
Okay, I understand.
And it's
but I'm just the jet port thing is a red is kind of scares people into something that it's not going to be. So I just want you to maybe try to find a different word.
Let me explain something to you. But no, honestly, let me just say something. The other day, there was someone at the church I go to, handing flyers out, okay? I put one on Facebook, okay? Handing flyers out, okay? They don't want this thing. I walked around 85 houses, okay? There's not only one person, an old man, senile, said he was gonna bring money to the town of Danvers. That's why he thought it was a good idea. One person out of 85, okay?
No, I know the flyers are going out. You guys
I didn't do it at the church. The lady was up there handing them. They don't want this thing, okay?
So again, but that comes just back to you guys need to talk to us. And these people need to talk to us. You guys are getting angry outside.
I understand that, but stop and think. No one calls and puts a complaint because they're sick of it. Before he came, it was never looked down or never a thing. It just went to revolving file. It was just talking everything. So no one wants to. That's it.
Tony, we got to stop living in the past. And
I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying to you. Anybody I talk to. Okay.
No, I know. And
even my neighbor, I was at a cookout the other day. They all believe me, they don't want this thing, okay?
I know, Tony.
Even the wives are gonna come out for this one, okay?
And I just wish they would come here. That's we need them to come here. You guys. Anyway, so the jet traffic is increasing, and it's going to increase regardless of the new runway length. So to put that out there, regardless of what happens with our runway, we're going to get more jet traffic. Everyone's going to get more jet traffic. Every airport, it's just inevitable. This is just how things are going.
Why?
I don't. It's just
That's the
just
question.
the economics. It's just the
Well-
way the world is working.
Well,
If you look on your flight radar 24 and you zoom all the way out, you see a bazillion jets flying everywhere. So it's going to happen. But we're expanding 1634, and that is going to make it so everyone wants to do 1634. And you guys are on the end of 27, and that's where everyone is complaining from, is the end of 27. So we're trying to make 1634 even more desirable for everyone to use. So
Kyle, I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate your concern in regard to the comments that have been made. However, we have endured this airport expansion since 1997, when I was on the Board of Selectmen in the town of Danvers. And that was an uproar at that time, and it is continuing because people are not, they're not concerned enough to make a complaint because they're fed up with any response. You were talking about the complaints that were filed. The key to that is the response and the contact with that individual. So that's the customer service. That's where it comes into play. Right now, you're not doing anything about the master plan
I
at all.
cannot serve a customer that doesn't come to my door. So if you're too afraid or you're sick of it or whatever, that's not my fault. That's your own problem.
Agency.
But if you want to be my customer and Gabe's customer and this airport's customer, come to our door.
We're here.
No, you're not.
I am.
Nobody is here. Nobody is here. Old Burley is not here.
Don't
They
worry
don't
about
come. They don't.
Don't worry about it. Don't wait for me. Don't worry about it. Believe me, okay? Don't worry about it.
I've been begging you guys for months. Since the moment I stepped foot into this
Don't worry
chair,
about it.
I've been
Don't worry
begging
about
you
it.
for
Don't
months.
worry
So
about it.
please.
We haven't even put the dates down yet, okay? I'm waiting for the dates. Enough.
The new hangar on the Danvers side is not going to disturb any wetlands or be visible to any neighbors in the area. You will not see this hangar whatsoever. We've talked with almost all the residents on Old Burley, and not one has shown concern about the hangar going in.
Okay.
We're doing environmental studies on more than one facet. We're doing environmental studies on 1634. Hold on, Tony. I'm talking. You guys have talked. We're doing environmental impact studies on 1634 for the expansion, and we're also doing environmental impact studies for the hangar, and we're also doing environmental studies on the east side here with Taxiway Echo, the new access road going around as well. So there are multiple environmental studies going on at once. PFAS, everything is constantly being studied. All these environmental impact studies are happening every day. So I just want to let you know that there are always, and if you have a specific one that you know of, that you would like us to do,
151.
you need to just put it into the website, into the suggestions, tell us what you want, and then we will be able to look at it. Again, that's all I'm asking. Because you keep talking about environmental, and we do it every day, all day. And flight level has also done it for days on end and spent thousands of dollars doing all this. So if you have something more specific, please, we need the public to let us know. And then you had mentioned something about a fuel tank and location. I don't know what the concern is there, and what the issue is with the fuel tank and its location, but that was one of the
issue. Well, that's been an issue from the site planning review, because the tank had to go through some criteria because of the fire department being concerned about blowing up at the field close to the parking lot and close to the residents. And now what we're talking about is, interspersing the tank from the original location, which now is located close to the runway, and it has a soil buffer around it in case it blows up. And now we're moving it almost to the parking lot where the vehicles are and people are there.
Do we have
So-
time to vote on this?
You know, you have to look at the plans. I mean, this is nothing new. But that's a conservation commission that's gonna be handling that on Thursday.
All right, well, I will definitely look into it more. But as of this moment, as of today, the fuel tank is not being moved today or tomorrow, but I will look into what is gonna happen with the fuel tank and what the idea is.
Well, hopefully you heard the message in my, comments this afternoon, that this hangar should be either stopped and reconsidered, because that is something that is a eyesore, and it's an environmental impact into the residential area of Old Berlin. So I don't, we all have, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
You could put it on this side. Then we wouldn't have a problem with us.
Now that's, well, I'm not gonna get into the debate this time.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for right now.
Well, you got a lot more there. I handed you a lot more stuff.
Well, this was generally, there's a lot of pages, but it broke down to about six items of concern. And that's what I've covered here. Like I said, the last thing on this, five, all projects that are done on the airport go through Conservation Commission and that are adhered to all state and federal wetland regulations. So regardless, everything is adhered to. We're not allowed to move forward unless the wetlands are respected between a 25 and 100-foot buffer, depending on what they tell us. And we do that.
Yeah.
Then the last thing is, I was asking if you could find the environmental impact study that you are requesting and send that to us.
I will look into that.
Fantastic.
I have a meeting with the town manager tomorrow morning, and I'll have him do that.
All right. And that's all I have. Are there any other commissioner comments?
Oh, thank you, I'd love to speak.
Anyone before Bill, because I feel like that might take time.
I'll go after Bill.
You go. Rob,
Go after.
you want, everyone wants to let Bill go first? All right, Bill, you've got the floor, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. To be honest with you, I don't know where to begin, but it's been an interesting month for me, and I don't mean that in a positive way. We're going to start off on a positive note. One way or another, I have been involved in the Beverly Airport Commission for about 26 years. Yeah, I've been a commissioner for a little less than a year, but since 2000, I've been the rep, the envoy for the North Shore Air Club, the largest pilot organization here. So that's 24 years. Previous to that, I was appointed the AOPAASM representative for the airport. So 26 years plus or minus. So that means I've been here for the vast majority of meetings, okay? And it's a good thing. And what I will say is the grouping I see at this table tonight is the best grouping of people I've seen in those years. I'm very thankful for all of you. We have fun. Sometimes we have a little raucous, and it's a good thing too. And we got a good group here, all right? The only thing I want to point out here is that, two things actually. Do we have everybody here except Aaron?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. If I can make it to these meetings, anybody who wants to call himself a commissioner can make it to the meeting. I don't consider being on the TV being a part of the meeting. I've done it a couple of times. Acoustics are awful. You don't participate in it. There's the subtlety of looking around, watching people in the audience, the body language, so on and so forth. There is much to be gained by being there. So like I said, no offense. If I can be here, you can be here. And if you can't be here, maybe we can get somebody else. One point. Second point I want to put out here. We've got everybody except Aaron Henry here tonight, okay? So if you look at the representation, you've got 2 from Danvers, and you've got, right now, 6 of you from Beverly. Actually, for the most part, Aaron is not here. I can't tell you the last time I saw him. He's a good guy, I like him. I really like Aaron. He's not bringing anything to the table, period. He's not here. We need him. Which brings me to what I really want to talk about, and I want to dovetail off of what you said. And I'm sorry, I keep forgetting your name. Please.
Robin Gillette.
I knew it was Robin Gillette. I'll remember it now. All right, you were talking about not thinking you're seeing all of the complaints coming in. First of all, from my representative, Kearns, she has asked us politely to remove the word complaints, and from here to forward to use reports or comments or whatever. We are not to use the word complaints, and that's coming from her, so that's my message from her via me to you, please. Take note. All right, let's talk about my day, and I'll get back to you in just a split second. My day, I spent many hours of my day today involved with Beverly Airport, okay? Listening and dealing with constituents, as a result, spending time at Town Hall, in the assessor's office, getting a very good snapshot of where we stand in terms of land and valuation and everything else like that. And I literally had to beg off a meeting, conference call with Representative Kearns to come to this meeting. So a large portion of my day was dedicated to this airport. I am very pro-aviation, okay? I am very pro-airport, okay? I'm not sure if I just said myself, but I've been involved with here for 26 years, so I'm a fixture, so to speak, and I'm happy to do that part of a fixture. But let's go back to this over here with the complaints. I forget how many hundreds of complaints I've gotten in the last month, but it's in the hundreds, okay? And you're not hearing what I'm hearing, obviously. I see a real disconnect. I see 6 small plane complaints, great. I'm hearing about jets, and I'm not hearing about it from one person. I'm hearing about it from dozens of people. I'm hearing about the helicopters from dozens of people. They call it that the helicopters, the harbingers of misery. And when they had those helicopters, they said, those people aren't bringing good news. They're going out to see who died and what was destroyed. Today's butcher's bill, as one person put it. I can see that being depressing. Ever since that moment I heard that, now I understand the helicopters, that's what I started. They put the thought in my head. The jet thing, you've got a bunch of people on the other side of the fence who are beyond livid. L-I-V-I-D, all capital letters, beyond livid. And I don't understand why it's not filtering here. I told you I got a little sharp with somebody in one of my communications today, and rather than getting into the back and forth, I just said, if you've got something to say, come here and say it. We got Dr. Steve Bloomer, we've got Mark, and we've got Tony over here, their constituents. I really expected this room to be filled tonight with what I had listened to. I really thought we were going to get shouted out, as I have seen in many meetings before you guys showed up. Some of the things I've seen in the past were ugly. You'd have dozens, hundreds of people show up, and it would just be horrible, absolutely horrible. Well, guess who was the target? Okay? And I was pretty upset there for a while. You and I talked about it. You calmed me down. You called me 3 days in a row. You okay, Bill? You calmed me down. That is true. That is true.
That's true.
Okay. In any event, I'm here to carry that message. And that message is there's something going on there. There's a disconnect. He's going to see the town manager tomorrow. I have an executive meeting with the selectmen on Wednesday afternoon. Okay. I'm going there to give them my report of what I've seen and what's going on. All right. And just to throw a few things out there so you're aware of what I've been listening to. All right. This airport expansion, whatever you want to call it. Okay. The people are stuck to the ceiling on this one. They're not happy at all. Right. And by the way, if you got jets here, it's a jet plane. Period. You can say whatever you want. It's a jet plane. What I've heard from the people is, and this time they seem to be organized. I seem to hear people who speak more eloquently than before. Before we just have like raucous people just going off. And like Dr. Bloomwood was here, he and I have had several conversations. He was very eloquent. He's very knowledgeable. He sent me tons of information. He's very focused on the health issue. Representative Kearns is very focused on the health issue. Okay, there's people focusing on that. There's people who are focusing on the hangar issue. All right. The word thing that caught my attention from a number of these people, and I don't know where it's coming from, but if I took note of it, I'm advising you people to take note of it, that the town of Danvers was denied due political process regarding the improvements to this airport, and that we are being subjected to municipal abuse. That sure the hell sounds like the words of a lawyer to me. And I wouldn't be surprised if 1 month from today, we're not in the courts over this business. Serious. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit upset in listening to it, and you're not. This is no joke. They're not here. Maybe I'm this month's scream pill. I don't know what the hell you want to call me. Maybe I'm the momentary fool. I don't know. You're not hearing it. I'm hearing it. These people are livid. These guys right here are livid. They just kept banging them down and quiet down here a few minutes ago. You saw it. It's just 2. Multiply it by 25.
Hey, Bill.
Yo.
It's not the two of them, it's the whole commission, so please don't direct your comments.
All right, well, I'm not. I'm just not. I'm just saying, telling you about my day and my experience over the last month. Okay, there's people really upset up there. And I really have no idea what's going on here, but I'll tell you what's really gnawing at me. Remember a minute ago I was telling you I've been here for 26 years? Guess who's going to be the star witness? Who can recount back for the last 26 years of what they've seen? Okay, I can tell you how good things were in the early days. I can tell you how good things are now. And things are really good now. Good team. We got a damn good team here. I think so. Okay? I didn't even drink a beer with all of you. It's great. We had a period with a certain person who represented currency that do not name, but left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. And because of that person, a movement, a construction or improvement to this airport has been set into motion. It's going forward. A lot of people feel it should have died when she disappeared. It didn't. It's moving forward. You guys are saluting it. You're doing a good job. You're good soldiers. We're marching over to say we're going to do this. And that's not how a lot of other people feel about it. But I guess I'm going to stop there before I get too carried away, because maybe I'm venting, and I apologize for venting, but it hasn't been any fun. In fact, you know I was ready to say, screw it. I didn't sign up for this. Okay, but these are my people. I am here representing the town of Danvers. As I've been jokingly referred to, I am Team Danvers. Remember that first and foremost. Okay, I am Team Danvers. I'm going to represent these people, and I'm going to give them what my assessment of what I see going on. And you've heard it. You've pretty much heard it. But they're upset. So don't be surprised. I really want to communicate that. All right, let's get off beyond serious. You know there's problems out there. I mean, quite seriously, guys, help could come to breakfast. Okay, I'm not joking. I've heard reference to ACLU. I've heard reference to lawyers. I've heard reference to, this could really go boom real fast. I've heard about it going to the, the news, whatever. I lost track of it. I should have been writing this down. I didn't. I was just overwhelmed. But I heard everything under this. I'm sorry, so yes.
I just want to ask you a question.
Ask anything.
So I totally hear you. I understand Robin over her house having helicopters pivot. Everybody's concerned. I think the commission, if it seems like we're deaf to it, we're not at all. The one thing I don't hear being ever addressed is what regulatory authority does anybody outside of the commission, including Gabe doesn't have it, what authority do we have to change any single thing that people don't like about this airport?
It's simple. You revisit the airport master plan. Mr.
So if we did nothing, okay, so we revisited it, we changed it, we did nothing to the airport, do you think that's going to change? Since everything that these gentlemen are doing going to doors is voluntary, if we contact the flight school, like what I'm asking is, we're with you 100%, but we can't actually tell businesses they can't operate. We can't tell them if they follow the state and federal guidelines, permitting rules. Your job description is to promote aviation here, so we have to strike that balance. But the one thing I don't hear from people is give us a regulation that we're breaking or something as a volunteer body, like we're being blamed for not doing a job that we actually.
Good names.
Well, but so that's great. We would promote that. We can't go out to a pilot and say.
Not to good neighbors, but.
Tony, but it's, so the point I'm trying to make is we can't go to the highway and tell people to slow down. Like, this is the same as a train going down a track, Logan Airport. It's a super unfortunate position that we are all in. We're on the same stinking ship. And the commission is here to balance the economic benefit to the region and to people. And I see 81 Burley Street empty, I would not, like, my heart goes out to the people at that house who moved out, it's vacant.
So many.
But I think of the picnics and everything, but I just don't know what the commission, like what people think. We can't tell anybody, they could take off at 5 in the morning every day the same plane, and we could never do anything about it. So we're beating up on the commission. What I see is these two guys going out. No, I know, yeah. I mean, it seems like you
I
are.
haven't seen you with a problem. I mean,
Yeah,
I have no
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with anybody else here. I think you guys have come a long way over the years, okay? Let me tell you something, okay?
Well, can I finish first?
Oh, sure.
If you don't mind, I'm not gonna say much more. But it would help the commission if the frustration, we need somebody to say, MGL, section, paragraph, you guys are not enforcing. You're not doing state, federal. This is actually being run entirely, unfortunately, by the FAA. And unless you guys petition the FAA,
Right.
it's like, if you want to carry a gun and you're permitted, people don't like it. You can drive as you wish and carry a gun. People want to be free. And unfortunately, the airport helicopters, you can't tell a helicopter pilot how to turn. I wish we could. But there's something that's not being said in our response to saying, we wish we could change what's going on at the airport, the master plan. The 5,000 feet, adding 300 feet is taking a 50-foot driveway and adding 3 feet. And I don't think you're going to appreciably change how many cars can fit in that driveway, how big of a truck can come in and stop in that amount of space. I'm not trying to say, I don't think, we could talk about the possibilities, but the numbers, I'm gonna finish, can I finish, please, Tony?
Tony, you gotta let him finish. He hasn't spoken at all tonight.
So,
No, that's true. I haven't seen it in a while.
I appreciate Bill's passion. I understand Robin lives right there. I live only a couple miles. But without a law, a provision, something that the commissions remit, like you could take us to court and say you're not doing your job, but our job description talks about trying to balance and promote aviation along with the community. So I just feel that there's a lot of abuse piling up on the commission. I think we're collecting data, but even if we collect all this data, and the flight schools might be taking a hit financially because their students aren't coming in on certain days, they're not doing the touch and goes, it's adding cost to people's pockets. So, and the schools are doing it, like the information is getting out there, we're bending the curve a little bit, but we actually can't stop development here. If the federal government wants the runway to be a certain way, or if there's a hangar going up, I don't know if we can say to somebody, you can't develop your business in this country. If we can, we should talk about it, but it's not the commission. We don't have that authority. Gabe doesn't have that authority. So we may want to redirect how we approach this, but we're not people trying, we're all pilots, and I don't even fly that much, or I try not to fly at certain times just for the residents, and that feels good to me. It's a pain sometimes, but I totally get it. But in order to help you guys, what authority do you see that we don't see to change it? And that's all I ask. I put it out there. I don't know, it's a rhetorical question, but that's okay.
If I may, you and I are on the same side of the fence on this one. My frustration is your frustration. Okay, when I'm speaking with these people, it's more like, I'm not dialoguing with them, it's more like they want to talk at me. That's why, if you recall, a few minutes ago, I told these people, don't tell me you've got something to say, come to the meeting. That's why I was hoping to see people here. And this way here, you got the face-to-face, you get the dialogue. Yeah, it gets a little happy, steamed up, so on and so forth. At least there is dialogue, face-to-face. Where are these people? We have Dr. Blumen, we have Tony, we have Mark. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, frustration gets called with me. I'm just telling you what I'm encountering. I'm not trying to alarm you, anger you, or anything else. And as far as who says what about what, that may wind up being determined by lawyers in the court of law. I don't know. I have no idea if these people have got any ammunition or not. It sure sounded interesting to me. And like I said, the thing that really concerns me is I don't have time to be spending in the court answering dumbass questions all day long, 9 hours a day for X number of days. One of my friends wound up in a similar situation a number of years ago. Started in court for 6 goddamn weeks. 6 weeks. I don't want that. I don't want it, period. So just let me know what's going on in the marvelous world of Bill Costa. Let's go on to happiness. I have enough.
Can I piggyback off of that a little bit? You had mentioned earlier that this is inevitable, right? That there's jets in the air, there's more jets in the air. But we're asking, we said tonight, that we would like more people to see our senator. You know, you have to change some of these things legally. You know, you have to submit bills. Where in our peripheral with FAA do we have that kind of ability to file something with FAA? I mean, can FAA really come in here and transform a small airport into something bigger with, and I want to be careful how I say this, to make it something bigger so some more planes are here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with, well, there are complaints that are legitimate complaints, but how much power and control does FAA have on expanding our Beverly and Danvers property? I just, you know, maybe it's my naivete, but it's just, where does the cities and the town have the ability to say, this is big enough, we want to work with you, and we can follow all the FAA guidelines around the size, but do we even have the opportunity, and what would we have to do to actually say, enough? Well, we're going to work with you, we believe in the FAA 100%, but these two communities are saying, we're big enough. Now, how do we even negotiate that question as a commission, and then where can we take it? If that becomes part of our vision statement, if that becomes part of our mission, how do we actually do it? Is there a way to do it?
So I want to make clear that the FAA hasn't looked at Beverly and said, oh, there's a small airport, that would do really well if we expanded it. They're just responding to the traffic that has started coming here. So the FAA sees an increase of traffic, and they see infrastructure that doesn't necessarily, in their view, support the safety of that traffic. And then that is where their projects come from and where their priorities come from. Trust me, there are several airports. The airport I was at before, the FAA came in and went through downsizing and took away one of our runways because they said, you don't need that, we're not going to fund it anymore. So the FAA coming in and supporting the reconstruction of the runway and then paving those safety areas isn't them just doing that on a whim because they feel like Beverly just it would look good at Beverly. They're doing it to respond to what's actually already happening here.
And I know a lot of people are talking about the complaints about the airport, but there's a lot of people that support it, which is why those numbers have gone up so much. There's a lot of people who want the airport here, they want it expanded, and they want to have more resources here. So there is the other side of that. It's not just the one.
I mean, I'm in support of the airport. I'm born and raised in Beverly. I've always had airplanes flying, above me. It's changed in the last 5 years, I have to say. And that's when I started coming to meetings, and I've been involved in a meeting where there were like 70 people here. A lot of yelling at each other. I've seen that, but I think it's because in the last 5 years, it's kind of changed a bit.
Did it change in the last 5 years? Or because of COVID, everybody went home. It was a completely different environment for everybody. I work from home now. I hear the planes a lot more. So people retired, they left their jobs, and those are the neighborhoods that surround us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the world changed. The numbers are still far lower than they had been historically at Beverly. So it's not that the airport, I think, is so much different. I think people's lives and the way they live are very different right now.
And I agree with you 100%, but I would like to kind of get back to who can define, other than FAA, the size of an airport, and do other airport commissions have, what kind of tools or routes do they go to kind of manage and keep things status quo in the light of other people might like to see Beverly grow, but are they Beverly and Danvers residents? Are they pilots that are coming in and they want to come here? So I think there's a difference. You know?
Well, like I said before, I mean, we don't have the square footage, first off, to expand to that size. I mean, there were 2 houses torn down at the end of 1/6. But that, even if we expanded out there and took over Bob's house, and there's no way. We just literally, there's a main road right there. There's no physical way. The other end, you know, 3-4, I mean, the topography is just, it just will never work.
Right.
I mean, those are the 2, you know, 1-6-3-4 is what I've mostly looked at on the ground. I've been at the end of 2-7 and 9, and I haven't really looked into the distance there, but I think the neighborhoods are too close. I just don't see in the next 10 years or 15 years that even being a possibility. I think that the land that surrounds us doesn't allow it. So I don't think that that's even in our purview. I think we're looking at safety with this expansion for what Gabe said, and what's already coming here. And that's why the FAA is doing this, and that's why. And it's not because of Gloria saying, oh, I want to do this and, you know, it looks good in the airport, but it is a safety measure that was foreseen and noticed because of the numbers.
No, again, I get that 100%. I just want to bring it back to, is there a route that any town can take?
They don't really negotiate, it's all powerful.
Yeah.
They're like an apartment manager.
Well, that's what it's feeling like right now,
They
yeah.
don't listen to feedback because there's so many competing concerns and factions over the years. They've learned to just, they don't answer phones, they don't respond to, it's very hard to get to them because of the environment and the fractious nature. So,
But
you know,
also-
I think the airports that are having changes nationally, they're going up against cities, not the airport commission, the manager. It goes against the city, and then it becomes a big legal battle. So there's very few of those that are happening, and not many are successful. But there's a lot of frustration, I think.
But also, if you try to put a stop to it, your funding will go away.
Which then make the
That's
people
a
along
big
the
step.
airport, then it becomes a more existential battle. It's one
Wow.
precipice. Yeah.
It deserves a wow.
So bottom line is, what we're doing right now for the public
Yeah,
is beyond what anyone has done before.
right, that I know, yeah,
And we are really making an effort.
definitely.
Like Gabe and I were here all day, and I was here for our first meeting at 9:30 was our first meeting on property, and I didn't leave till well after 1:30. And you know, our party was, oh, see you in a couple hours. You know, and this is our daily. This is what we do every day. You know, Bill's saying he's putting in his hours in this airport, and we're really trying to do the best we can with what we are allowed to do. And our hands are tied, and we're doing the most that we can with what we're allowed to do. That's the bottom line. And because anything farther, we're not going to piss off the FAA, and they're not going to.
Yeah. The reason we may be promoting, or we are promoting the hangar and business growth, the hangar mathematically shows less operations, not more operations, right?
And it will not house 8 more jets. And to be clear, that it is housing 2 jets that come in and will actually lessen the amount of landings and takeoffs. So when you're looking at numbers, it will reduce the numbers of landings and takeoffs here. So
If I may recap to the floor for just a moment.
what do we got, Bill?
To answer your question, the answer is Vox Populi, the voice of the people. All right, the FAA sets the operating rules, and they're absolute, resolute. That's their air. You operate by them. But in the end, they're a funding mechanism. They turn around to Beverly Regional Airport and say, what do you want to do? And as Mr. Zuberek pointed out earlier, you got plan A, plan B, plan C, okay? And at that point, do you want it a full boat? Do you want to go halfway and just fancy up the place, or do you want to do nothing, all right? Let's go back to the previous administration. Danvers, 1 representative, maybe 2 on occasion, against 6. That airport manager marched the decision in advancing her career. She wanted to become a rising star in aviation. She was going to use Beverly Regional Airport as her springboard to go on to bigger and better. She failed miserably. She has been destroyed career-wise. And she has brought us to this point now. Whatever goes on from this point is decided at this table. And remember, there's 6 of you, there's 1 of me, and there should be another guy here, and he sides in with you guys. He's a good guy. He's a municipal guy. Great for him. Okay? And that's the whole story in a nutshell.
How are we working against you and Danvers? Just so we understand.
All right, I'm only really feeding back to you what I've been told. Okay, outnumbered. People point out to me saying, well, Danvers has 172.5 acres in this business operation, this partnership. Okay, fine. So if you put the numbers out, that's 37, almost 40% of the political body. Yet, if you look at the numbers in terms of what Danvers has for representation versus the greater board, we're somewhere around 22%. That's disproportionate. I have no idea who said that. I'm not arguing it. I'm just saying that's the numbers. We should have a 40% stay. We don't. 40% now puts you in a different position in terms of discussing things through. Previously, and I sat here at these meetings, the previous airport manager just walked these commissioners around like ducklings on a string, is what she did. She had a mind, she had a mission in mind, nothing was going to deter her, she was a rising star, and she didn't care who she stomped on in the process. And as a result of her and her alone, we are here now discussing this point. And I'm telling you, it's probably going to explode in our faces. So we can sit here and, say this, that, raise your arms or anything else like that. When the explosion happens, I'd like to be the first to say, well, I told you so, okay? People are upset. Nobody in Danvers wants anything to happen here. I don't think that's realistic. And another thing I'd like to mention to you, people who say, oh, you can't do things like that. 405 public use airports across this country have closed in the last 20 to 25 years. Vauxhall Island, people came in and said, enough, no more geopolitical crap, no more aviation. Scram, shut them down. And that goes from airports this size right up to Meigs Field in Chicago, which is a huge, a very large airport. It was downtown Chicago. Mayor Daley gave them a deadline saying, well, we're gonna shut it down. And he had input from everybody else. What I remember reading about it was all this input he was getting was coming from everywhere except Chicago. Nobody in Chicago wanted that. And they kept saying, everybody going, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. And on the strike of midnight, on the day he put the fire, he put the bulldozers out there and he bulldozed up the runways. There were airplanes there. People think, well, if I put my airplane there, he won't dare trap me here. He sure the hell did. And that almost happened in the mid-1960s here. The first thing I remember about this airport when I was a kid reading an article in the Salem News, that the town of Danvers was ready to bulldoze up the strips. They had parked the bulldozer on 9 and 27, and I think also something else on the taxiways just to block people going around. It was one of those 24-hour news things, and the FAA got in there and calmed everybody down. Their dissatisfaction with this airport goes back 60 years. This is not something new. I've been seeing it every 5 years. It's periodic, in my opinion, what I've seen. Okay, a couple times I've gotten burned in these meetings. I'm sorry the hell I showed up. In fact, the first one I went to, a couple people I knew from the FAA showed up, and I said, gee, I didn't know you guys were coming. He said, we're here because you're coming here. We're here to drag you out by the heels in case it gets too bad. That's a quote. You know something? They were dead nuts right.
To give you
So I've been there.
There's 5,000 public use airports across the country, and about 11,400 private ones. So there's a lot of them out there. So if a few, would you have any duties they shut down?
405.
That's still a really small percentage.
7% of the nation's airports were shut down. The vox populi, people spoke. Enough. Okay, let's get the happy stuff. Okay, one of the things I do like to promote is aviation safety. And we have a safety seminar coming up on the 25th of this month. We had originally slated it for the 2nd, but the FAA, because it's vacation time, we had to push off, and they call the shots and that sort of thing. But that's something I take a lot of pleasure in promoting. This is a safety seminar. It's basically, I think at the title, they've changed it 5 times, I think now. It's what to do if the unthinkable happens. The propeller stops spinning. What do you do now? Okay? And it should be a very informative and entertaining, meeting, and I just want to let you know. So, sorry, I started out low, but I did try to end up high. With that, thanks, folks.
Thank you, Bill. Any other commissioners like to speak? No.